Ever since mankind has had the technology to take things out of this world, there's been some strange experiments that might shock you. In modern times, people with enough money feel as though it's symbolic to take things up, and beyond. And then of course, there's other times where people feel a need to send things such as a bag of Doritos up there. Here are 18 strangest things launched into outer space. Number 15. Space monkeys. The first primate ever to make it into space was a rhesus monkey called Albert II that we see here, who was carried on board of a V-2 rocket in 1949. Many were unsure what would happen to an organism after they were launched into space and how to properly prepare for something like this. With monkeys being biologically similar to humans, this appeared to be the most proper way for Americans to find out without risking a human life. It wasn't really until 1959 when a successful monkey launch took place, getting the squirrel monkey back in one piece. Upon the return, the monkey known as Baker even received a medal. This monkey has achieved more in its life than you probably have. Number 17. Soviet space dogs. While the US preferred sending monkeys into space, the Soviets tended to have more success with their space dogs than we did with our space monkeys. The Soviets sent approximately 57 Cosmo canines into orbit/suborbit. Scientists felt as though dogs were better suited to sustain long periods of inactivity in comparison to animals such as monkeys. The dogs were fed a jelly-like protein matter that was high in fiber, but more often than not, the dog ended up with some gastrointestinal issues upon return. Laika, the first animal to ever go into space, is featured as a symbol of power on this stamp. Unfortunately, it didn't survive due to the heat and stress. The Cosmo dogs we see here spent 22 days in space and made it back okay. Number 16. Buzz Lightyear toy. To the International Space Station and beyond, Disney and NASA got together to launch a Buzz Lightyear toy into space for real this time. This was done in order to encourage kids to pursue a career in space exploration. Buzz Lightyear spent about 450 days in outer space. It was eventually recovered, and in pose for this photo with Buzz Aldrin, it looks like he's got himself a best friend. Number 15. Dinosaur eggs and bones. In 1985, small fragments of dinosaur eggs and bones made its way into space from the dinosaur we see here, known as the Maiasaura. This duck-billed herbivore inhabited the Earth during the Upper Cretaceous period, but now somehow it's found its way into space. This was carried out by the company Space Lab and was brought along by an astronaut, Lauren Acton, for whatever reason. Last thing we need are space dinosaurs coming to attack us. Sounds like a good movie though. Number 14. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola never misses a good chance to get some publicity, and in 1984, they launched the first carbonated drink into space. They spent an estimated $250,000 just on the can that would actually work in a zero-gravity environment and not spill everywhere. They also had to slightly change their secret recipe in order for this to work. NASA eventually agreed to the idea, and then in 1985, Pepsi decided to join in on the fun. 4 cans of Pepsi and 4 cans of Coke were brought on board. What on earth would the astronauts do without a soft drink on board? Number 13. Water bears. Monkeys and dogs certainly weren't the only organisms sent in outer space. Besides cats and rabbits, scientists got together and sent an extremophile known as the tardigrade, or water bear, into space. What's interesting about this experiment is that it proves that some organisms are tough enough to survive the conditions of space naturally and with no protection. They survived being heated up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit and survived temperatures of negative 23 degrees on their mission to space. 68% of the tardigrades survived the unique conditions, which exposed them to high levels of radiation. This makes you wonder if these microorganisms are truly from outer space. Number 12. The corned beef sandwich. Sometimes, astronauts like to conduct their own experiments without getting approval, such as, how would a corned beef sandwich taste in space? An astronaut by the name of John Young wasn't too fond of all the freeze-dried food that they normally took to space and decided to smuggle in his own food. Story has it that Young randomly pulled out a sandwich. Back in Houston, they actually heard this on the radio. He apparently risked causing damage to the shuttle by doing this and got a stern warning not to do it again. Number 11. Guns. Why might astronauts decide to bring guns into space? Are they planning on making contact with some aggressive, hostile extraterrestrial beings? Unlike American astronauts, Soviets went into space packing some serious heat. They carried a triple-barreled 40-gauge shotgun that you see in this photo, with plenty of ammunition. Maybe the Soviets knew that they weren't alone up there? This is not a pea shooter either, and can deliver some intense firepower from a close range. The official reason, of course, wasn't aliens, but wolves. When the cosmonauts landed in the Ural Mountains of Russia after their mission, they apparently had to encounter some wolves from time to time. Spacemen would complain about getting into some uncomfortable situations in the woods here, and they felt that it was best to be prepared in some case of a wild animal attack. Number 10. Dirt from Yankee Stadium. There's all kinds of junk floating around in space, but still nothing more toxic than things related to the Yankees. Because of a Yankees fan, there's now dirt from the Yankees pitcher mound up there that was sent on the 2008 Endeavour mission. He brought it with him as a symbolic gesture and wanted to show pride for his favorite team. He claims it was a fitting way to show Americans pride since astronauts feel as though they're doing a service to their country. Number 9. Pizza. There's more than one case of pizza getting into space somehow. There's even a video online of someone sending a slice of pizza into space using a weather balloon. But it got a whole lot crazier when Pizza Hut got involved. They became the first company ever to deliver a pizza into space in the year 2000, and we imagine that's gotta be a pretty pricey delivery fee. It was apparently a publicity stunt, and Pizza Hut paid $1 million to have a Russian space agency deliver pizza to the International Space Station. In the process, they created the world's first space-proof pizza that was vacuum sealed. We imagine it took more than 20 minutes to deliver this pizza. Number 8. Hello from Earth. Sometimes, we send things into space in hope of communicating with other intelligent life forms in the universe. Hello from Earth is an interstellar radio message that is sent using NASA's Deep Space Station. Will ET ever respond to our text messages? If the possible inhabitants of Gliese 581d contain a radio receiver and the ability to read binary code, they will get a series of text messages from Australia. We imagine there's some long-distance fees on that one. This certainly isn't your average text message, and it takes over 20 years to send to Gliese 581d, and it's the closest Earth-like planet. However, do you think that maybe we should just stay away? If there are other aliens out there in this universe, who knows how advanced they are, and hopefully they won't come to Earth just to enslave us. Number 7. Salmonella. In our Real Ways a Zombie Apocalypse Could Strike video, we discuss different ways a pathogen from space could bring on hordes of the undead, and we really mean it. This experiment helps explain how that might happen. Some people might believe that bacteria or other microorganisms might die once exposed to the environments of space, but that's certainly not the case, especially with salmonella. Salmonella is a leading cause of food poisoning. This experiment was done to see what would happen to an astronaut if they were exposed to salmonella while on the job, and the results were frightening. Mice infected with space-grown salmonella died at a 28% quicker pace than ones on Earth. The bacteria also seem to reproduce at twice the rate, so watch out. Number 6. E. coli. Bacteria tends to do quite a few strange things in space, which will almost make you believe it's just re-entering its natural habitat when it goes up there. The E. coli bacteria was brought to space by Russian scientists to see what would happen. And not only did the bacteria survive, it also thrived in microgravity. The bacteria became so powerful that they found out that it had the ability to resist multiple antibiotics. What if something during this experiment went horribly wrong? The astronauts became infected with super space bacteria, came back to Earth, and began a horrifying plague. Each of these experiments tended to prove that bacteria can adapt and mutate when exposed to different conditions. Just something to think about before you try to sleep. Number 5. Amelia Earhart's scarf and watch. In honor of the first woman to fly across the Atlantic, 2 items of important historical significance were sent into Earth's orbit, so eventually it could come back to Earth. Earhart wore these items during her journey, and they probably belong in a museum somewhere. The astronauts felt very honored and excited to be a part of the mission and fly with the relics from the past. The items flew back to Earth eventually, but with the unpredictability of space, it seems rather risky for such important historical items. Number 4. Doritos Bag. Do humans really feel the need to send Doritos into space? The answer is unfortunately yes. In 2012, as a part of a Super Bowl commercial, Doritos got a bag of Doritos 60,000 feet into the air with the help of a weather balloon. If we've learned anything so far, it's that if you want your product to do well, you gotta send it to space somehow for publicity. Here you can clearly see the curvature of the Earth. Or was it distorted by Doritos space scientists using their fisheye lens, because they also have to keep the secret behind the flat Earth? Are Doritos in on the plot to give everyone the illusion that the Earth is flat too? Those sneaky Doritos, who knows? Number 3. Bobblehead of Walter White. It seems like just about everything is finding its way into space, even this bobblehead of Walter White from Breaking Bad. All you seem to need nowadays is a sturdy weather balloon, some glue to get whatever you want into space, and there it is. If it goes too far though, this is definitely gonna pop. Number 2. Human remains. Also known as space burial, this refers to people sending their ashes into outer space. They're normally sealed into a container and released when the spaceship re-enters Earth's atmosphere. They normally burn up as they re-enter Earth, getting rid of every known trace of that person. Gene Roddenberry from the cast of Star Trek was one of the most well-known people who've done this. And number 1, a joint. Viceland sent a joint into outer space, and as you can tell from this image, that thing really got high. They were conducting their own experiment to see if space weed would be any different when it got back to Earth. Just leave space alone already, people. It managed to actually get up to 100,000 feet high.
So which one did you think was the most interesting? Be sure to leave us a comment in the comment section and subscribe for new videos every day.